As you may know, the popular show Ed, Edd and Eddy has been running for a long time. However, between October 7th, 2003 and October 21st, 2003, episode 34 was accidentally released 1 week before it was scheduled to. It was also known to some around the office the primary writer had been sick with the flu, and instead of going on to make episode 34, the show was supposed to replay episode 1. At 5 a.m. Eastern, people watched a very disturbing new episode, premiering on Cartoon Network. Some children were unfortunate enough to see it. Apparently, the quality of the episode was mediocre when held to regular standards. Animation was choppy, sound was constricted and very muffled. Reports of a line running up and down similar to crappy VHS tapes were received. Scenery was described as overwhelmingly dark and depressing, without changing props and other background objects. Stormy looking. Characters also behaved oddly. Instead of the normal goofy hijinks-inspired personalities, viewers complained they seemed extremely agitated, gratuitously hateful toward each other, and constantly about to begin sobbing after the lines. The protagonist also had a very bad lisp. No one knows why. But he spoke with a sexual tone, and that further bothered the viewers. I was one of those viewers. The episode began with Eddy walking down the street with Ed. I noted the third Ed was missing. There was an angular shot coming from in front of the two to show them walking toward the viewer. Eddy was wearing an angry look, as he does when something goes wrong. His eyes were red around the irises. Ed looked absolutely forlorn, and practically dragged behind Eddy, tears in his eyes, which were both lazy and looking in opposite outward directions. Kevin, the series antagonist, was riding his bike opposite the Eds, towards them. The shot became blurry, and low moans were heard coming from Eddy before Kevin hit him, which never happened because the screen went to black. The screen then snapped back, and Kevin was again headed towards Eddy. The view was so blurry this time, and all I saw was a green blob headed towards a yellow one. Again the low moan, only this time it sounded like the microphone was broken, and static came in, greedily overshadowing the moan. A claymation sequence of Double D sleeping in Eddy's bed came up. Honestly, it may have just been the abruptness, but I jumped and shivered. Waking up and getting out of bed, he moved oddly around the circular room, the fast pitter-patter of footsteps being the only audio. The step sound was very clear as I was shown a bird's-eye view of him scampering around the room. There were no visible doors. Ed began screeching. Sounded like a fisher cat, as he moved wildly